The first video I made got like 10 million views in 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, so there's something here. I found somebody had dropped their house key inside of the piano. I have a dropped key inside of the piano. I've never heard of a dropped key. We're talking about a real key, like a house key. That video I think has like 30 million views or something like that, which is insane.
You were interviewed by the news, correct?
Oh yeah.
Josiah Jackson, who's taking social media by storm.
I come from a younger generation. I don't ever watch the news, but it's like, I made it on the news. I
was like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy before. So I went in and followed you from there. And no, your videos are great, man. It's just a blast to watch. Thanks. You do a great job editing.
Welcome to Triple H, Hamilton Happy Hour, where we talk about pianos, talk about music, and everything else in between.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Hamilton Happy Hour. I'm Tobias Hamilton, and we have a special guest with us today, which is Josiah Jackson. He is the piano doctor. Hello, Josiah.
Hello.
Hey, Josiah, how you doing?
Everybody
Welcome to Florida.
well.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's cold up in Michigan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's cold up there. You said it was...
It was supposed to be like -3 degrees at some point this week.
Ooh.
So it's getting pretty cold.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in Michigan?
West Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little small town tech. Only been doing it for 5 years. I mean, 5 years is a long time for me. It's one quarter of my
that
life.
was 15, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how early do you want to start?
Yeah.
So your background into getting into the business is you were a pianist, correct?
Mm-hmm. Kind of. I made a video about this, actually. It's like a short form video. I grew up playing piano since I was like 4 years old. Thought I wanted to be a pianist, like travel around, perform. Like you guys got all the posters of the people. I wanted to be one of those pianists. I wanted to do that. But I actually really quickly realized that I don't like performing. I just got so nervous when I got up to play. And like call me a coward if you want. Like that's okay. But
a real thing.
Right. Yeah. I just realized like I could push through. I could do it like if I really want to, but I don't really want to. Like I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So I wanted to find something around pianos, called up a local technician and just asked if I could shadow him for a day. And that's what I did. It just kind of went from there. I mean,
you learned everything in one day?
No. Yeah. I shadowed him for a day.
With you.
Yeah. And then I opened my business and just started tuning for, no. I didn't. So I
very next day.
Yeah. I apprenticed under like one guy locally, kind of graduated, apprenticed under another guy I was probably training for like a year, but I mean, I was still in high school at the time. So I was going to school in the morning and then I go to like classes at night, if you want to call them classes. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started.
And were you going to customers' homes with them, or was it a shop and you're doing stuff in the shop?
Yeah, in the shop at first, like with the first mentor that I had, we basically just kind of did whatever shop work he had at the time and he just walked me through stuff and showing you, oh, this is what a bridge is, and this is, a soundboard has crown and all that kind of stuff. Like, just learning the basics of it. And then, for an hour, you just say, okay, go ahead and get as far as you can on this tuning, and then we're done for the day. Right. That's what we do.
That's cool. So I was watching, you were interviewed by the news, correct?
Oh, yeah.
In West Michigan, there's a young medical professional of sorts who's taking social media by storm.
His patients have 88 keys.
To operate on a patient, you need steady hands and a good pair of ears. Though some might not expect a face like Josiah Jackson's, his patients sing his praises.
Yeah, that was cool, man. That was very cool. The way that they brought that up, about being the piano doctor and your patients have 88 keys and stuff. That was
It was well done.
Yeah, classic news stuff.
Yeah. How was that for you? Was that cool?
It was cool. Yeah, they did a very good job, like putting it all together. Because like I was saying, actually, before we started the video, like I get really nervous on video. And so obviously it's on video, it's the news. So they were interviewing me and, I'm talking to the reporter like before, I was like, is it going to be like very bad? Like, you guys are going to edit this, right? Like, of course they're going to do that. But the reporter was really nice. And yeah, they did everything to make it as easy for me as possible. So it was really cool. And like, which is weird because I'm young. I come from a younger generation. I don't ever watch the news, but it's like I made it on the news. I don't even watch, but it's cool.
And you didn't even have silver bracelets.
Was it okay? So did a piece for the news one time too for a big piano thing that we were doing, and when it finally aired, because we filmed probably, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 minutes worth of stuff, and then it gets compressed into about 30 seconds at a time.
Yes,
So maybe a little bit longer. But the funny thing I experienced is like, wow, they took all that and that's what became of it. And like, it's very polished and all that. But it's like, well, what happened to that? I thought that was a good part.
Yeah. I'm kind of used to that because I make my own videos a lot of time. So like,
yeah, I guess so.
Most of the videos that I make right now, at least, I want to get into longer form videos. That's a different discussion. Most of the videos I make are like under 1 minute long.
Right.
And those repairs, a lot of times are taking me like 2 or 3 hours sometimes because I'm like moving a tripod, getting one shot, doing the thing in front of the camera. Then I'll get another angle because I'm doing it all myself. So it's like oftentimes at least like 45 minutes of footage condensed down to 30 seconds or a minute.
Right.
So like that's like
second
normal
nature
for
to
me.
you.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, they did a really good job.
Did you pick up anything from it?
Have multiple cameras.
Yeah.
That's what I got because they just set them up and just all hit record on the same time, and then she'd move around and then cut to different cameras and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. They got high end stuff. I film on my iPhone. I'm not doing anything super fancy.
Right.
Well, would it help if you had somebody with you to do that part of it?
Do you ever do that?
I have not, and that's what I'm hoping to get into right now. So like the next like stage of my journey right now, as far as like YouTube goes and all that, is I need to start hiring people to help me. I just hired like a part-time editor who's like helping with editing. And then I want to do somebody to help with office work and then somebody to help travel around and film pianos and stuff like that. But the most difficult part about that is oftentimes I don't know if a piano is going to make a good video until I get there, take the piano apart, see the problem, and I have to restart the whole process. So what I'll do is I'll put the piano back together and then I'll do like the intro and everything like that and start like I had just opened up the piano, but I already know what the problem is. I know how to fix it. And so that makes my job a lot easier because I'm already thinking, okay, how do I fix this? And then I'll do it.
Makes you look smart when you do it.
Yes, exactly.
Makes you look like a doctor.
Yeah.
I think it's this.
Yeah. So when you've already diagnosed the patient, it makes it pretty easy to go back and do it later. So yeah, that's kind of how my process works right now. But like most of the time, like if I go there and just tune the piano, it's not gonna make a very interesting video.
No.
It's gonna be a time lapse and that's it. Like that's okay, I guess.
So you guys met at the convention,
Yeah,
PTG convention?
Reno. Was it Reno?
Yeah, Reno, I think.
Reno convention.
And
for
I
the
had-
Piano Technicians Guild.
I had seen, it's funny because I had seen at least one of your videos before that it just showed up in my feed.
Yeah, which is so cool. Like,
And-
that's crazy.
Yeah, right.
That is so crazy to me.
And then for whatever reason, like I was like, oh man, I got to follow this guy, but I didn't. And so it went away and I couldn't remember your name
come
and
on,
this and
man.
that. And so it like worked to get to me and then I failed to follow up. But then he came back and I was like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy before. So he knew your name at that point. So I went in and followed you from there. And no, your videos are great, man. It's just a blast to watch.
Thanks.
You do a great job editing.
I really appreciate that because my biggest concern every time I'm making a video, it's always in the back of my head is like, what are other technicians going to think about this?
Sure.
Because I've done that before where like I'm just starting out and I made the video. And what I think most technicians or most people that don't like me don't understand is like I'm not making how-to videos. I'm just making how I did this video. Like I'm not trying to teach other people because I do 45 minutes of repair and I shrink it down into a minute.
Yeah.
That means a lot is getting cut out.
Right.
Like there are steps in there that aren't necessarily like typed out like this is the next thing to do.
So that's a generational thing too. It's
Right.
a lot of the old school guys, and I mean, let's face it, a lot of the piano techs that are out there are old school guys. And I see your videos too, and I can hear some of them in my mind going, "Oh, so now I got to go do piano tunings for free." So I get business.
What's this kid doing?
Yeah. I bet you get some blowback from people
Yeah.
on that stuff.
Yeah, and most of the time I want to be clear, like at most 99% of people have been super, like, you guys just like super encouraging, like, oh, that's so cool, I love the content, like.
To fit to your face anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe, I don't know.
Pay attention. Pay
Yeah,
attention.
Where's the other 45 minutes of this?
Yeah.
Well, it's like they're sitting there going, "Oh, he skipped this step and this step and this step." You know, they don't get what goes into that part of it.
Right.
But I remember when we met, I think it was that night I had texted you because I looked you up. You know, I was like, "Your videos are addicting," is what they are.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, "Oh man,
That's
that was
good.
cool." Oh,
You go through, you start one, and then you're watching 15
right.
videos.
And I think I watched 4 or 5, and then I texted you and I said, "Hey man, I just watched your videos. Keep up the good work. You're doing a great job."
As we like to say, we're ambassadors for the piano, right? And we're kind of shepherds for the flock too. You know what I mean? So, we need the next generation to be coming up and doing things the way you know how to do them. Like, we don't need to be keep doing the, we're not advertising in the phone book anymore. You know what I mean? So,
I don't have a beeper.
These guys need to be coming up, incorporating your generational stuff
Social media.
with,
and all that.
social media is just, you can't go backwards now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I
So-
appreciate so much about like this shop and you reaching out to me and saying keep up the good work is like you guys know so much more about pianos than I do. Like I know video fairly well. Eventually, maybe one day, but it's going to take me years to even get close.
Yeah, but with how fast your videos are, you're going to learn that stuff like that.
You can have your own shop in 35 minutes.
I built this piano shop and there it is. Look at that. That's how fast it happened.
You'll be good to go next week. Don't worry about it.
Has there been anything like any customers you've taken care of, or you come across with pianos that you would stand out in your mind, like, oh man, this was weird, or this is a good one, or something like that?
Most of the time I end up videoing them because they make really good videos. Like so for example, like you said, like, oh, those videos are addicting. There's so much like psychology that goes into video creation that like, and I love nerding out about this stuff. Like what gets people to like stop scrolling, like if you're watching short form video and then continue watching that video, or if it's like long form, what gets them to click and keep watching. I love stuff like that. It is so fun to me. But one of the most important things is like having a novel idea or like something new or interesting or weird or a piano that's out there. Okay, one of the most interesting examples was I found somebody had dropped their house key inside of the piano. I have a dropped key inside of the piano. I've never heard of a dropped key. I realized they were talking about a real key, like a house key. And that video I think has like 30 million views or something like that, which is insane.
Because 30 million people have dropped their keys. I've had it happen. I've had customers.
Is that a grand or an upright?
It was a grand piano.
Because I haven't seen that one. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like little things like that like it's possible for that to happen to the customer, but at the same time, like that's really weird that somebody's dropped their house key inside of the piano. So little things like that like I see it and I'm just like, oh, that's such a good video. Like,
If it would have happened in a Wurlitzer Spin-It, you might not have made a video out of it.
yeah, like even little things like that though, like the grand piano, it was a red grand piano.
Oh.
Like it wasn't necessarily
Like red,
but like
mahogany.
Like a red
like
mahogany.
red mahogany,
okay.
like dark cherry or something like that. I don't know
Cherry wood.
finishes
Good
that
on,
well.
It was good on camera.
Yes, yeah, and it was really good on camera. And like little things like that, as people are scrolling down, you are gonna get so many more people to stop and watch a video if it's about a red grand piano as compared to like a black shiny grand piano. It's just more interesting. It's something that's a little bit different than normal.
Yeah, we'll probably have to pick your brain about how we can do our videos better.
Yeah, so I love stuff like that. Like, by all means, go ahead. I was actually thinking about that before we like started the podcast, and I don't want to keep talking too much, so you guys talk as much as you want. But before we started the podcast, I was thinking like, okay, well, how much information do I want to share? Because I don't want everybody else out there to start making piano tuning videos. But like genuinely, it takes so much effort to make a video about piano tuning without that much return. Like I don't make very much money on short form content, especially. I would make more money if I just went on tuned pianos, like probably 2-3 times more like per hour, just for how long it takes to get a video. And then if that video happens to blow up, I could have just went out and tuned pianos and made the same amount. So I don't mind sharing this info because the real potential is in the marketing. So you don't really make that much from YouTube, but like if Hamilton Piano Company started making videos and they were like really good, really entertaining, that's going to bring a whole lot more customers into the shop where they'll be like, oh yeah, I saw that from the video, which is why I think like custom pianos or a piano that you have in the back right now, it's like this piano went through a hurricane and now we're going to rebuild it. Like that is a good title for a video. You could just have that and then just a thumbnail of you working on the piano. And as long as the production was good and you had like a good voiceover and good storytelling,
Throw a
that
house
would
key
be
in there.
phenomenal. Yeah. Don't stage stuff. That's one thing that bothers me so much. Yeah, like it's real. It's real stuff.
Funny because there was a piano moving reality TV show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was okay. It was a prominent company up north.
Mm-hmm.
And one that, I had dealt with, sent pianos to before and stuff like that. And so, when I found out it was coming out, and I was really excited to watch it.
Yeah.
And I watched the first episode, and by the first commercial break, I was like, oh my God, that doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? You can tell, those producers and stuff like that, you got so much money involved, and they just, no, it's got to be this way. You could tell it's just, things don't work that way. I could tell that a piano they were making it look like there was a big tragedy happening with. You could tell by the way it was moving that it was completely gutted. Mm-hmm. It was an old, big, huge upright, and you could tell there was no plate in it or anything because the way it was moving, it was just like rocking around like it was a piece of cardboard. And I watched the first episode, and I never went back to see the second one. And I'm at this point a 25-year piano mover. I couldn't wait to see this thing, you know what I mean? And I couldn't stomach it, and it didn't last. It was gone off the air pretty quickly after that. It was sad, because it's like there's plenty enough that we go through that you could make a real good story out of it.
That's the thing is like real stories, I wish would always perform better than fake stories.
Yeah.
But like so many times, like in the news, in like shows where they're like rebuilding a hot rod or something like that, car guys a lot of times know like they're dramatizing it. Just like piano guys know they're dramatizing a piano moving company thing.
Yep.
Like they add so much drama into it when they could just find a good story that actually happened. Like you guys were talking to me back in the shop about how one of the pianos you had, like you re-glued the bridge in the wrong spot or something like that. That would make a phenomenal part to a show.
Sure. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. It's okay.
Good thing it was one of yours.
Good thing we know how to fix it.
Hey, you can always edit it out.
But that shows that there's drama to real stories too, right? We all go through it.
Customers do neglect their pianos. I mean, it happens. I actually had a customer who's a very good pianist. She said to me, she goes, I am the worst person taking care of my piano. I kind of laughed. And I was just like, people don't usually confess to that. I'm like, they just, they don't, but I was laughing. But I mean, she still maintained her piano and did it justice, but she just let a couple years go by without tuning it. So she's like, this summer we're going to regulate it and voice it and, keep the tunings up.
I think as far as like customers like neglecting their pianos and stuff, I find a lot of times like the customers that have like a lower budget, most of the time they don't even know that they're supposed to have it tuned that often. No. I would say, probably for people that you work with, a lot of times they know. They bought a new grand piano from you or a rebuilt grand piano from you. They know they're supposed to have it tuned once a year. You've had that talk with them. Most of the customers that I work for, I'm working on old spinets, consoles, all that kind of stuff all the time. I do work on some grands, but most of this time it's, older pianos. They just don't know. And that's okay. That's our job, is to like educate them. That's part of why I wanted to start making content in the first place, is just because I ran into so many people that just had no clue. But I didn't want to go like on social media and just, start making a YouTube video like, hey, did you know you're supposed to have your piano tuned once a year?
Dogging your customers.
Right, right, exactly.
Don't be like Mary.
Yeah. So I do have like a couple videos that are like kind of like that, but they're very rare. And I mean, not like slamming customers. That's not what I'm saying. But like, hey, this is what you should do to maintain it. But most of the time, it's like, listen to how much better the piano sounds when you do maintain it.
Yeah.
Because that's the real reason that they want it done. And most of the time, like, people just can't hear it, or they don't know that they're supposed to have it tuned that often, or they've gotten used to it being out of tune.
I
I've
think
seen
that's
that
the case a
lot.
lot of times, or that maybe they never had it tuned since they've got it,
Right.
or sometimes they inherited it, never had it. They never heard it sound the way it should
Or
sound.
like even regulation and voicing too.
Yeah.
Like, people don't know how good the piano can sound until they've like just actually experienced
Right.
it and like had the work done,
Right.
which is like the most difficult part. Like, for me especially, I'm not really like a salesman type of guy, so it's so hard for me to be like, oh, but it would sound so good, like, if you
Right.
did this, like, please just buy it. So what I've started actually doing for customers is I'll tell them, like, buy it, and if you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. But like, you just have to experience what it actually is like before you make the commitment. Like, and to be fair, like, I wouldn't buy something if I didn't know if it was going to turn out either.
Yeah.
So let me just do the work, and then you can pay me if you want. You don't have to pay me, but I'll do it.
Well, it's also detrimental to the piano if these things are not
Right.
tuning more than anything else is what will cause the biggest problems to a piano if you do not keep it tuned regularly, and then the tuning serves two purposes. One, keeping it at perfect pitch. A 440 keeps everything stable, keeps the soundboard good and everything else. And you're not pitch raising it and doing that. And two, when you have a tuner coming in at least once a year, oh, Mrs. Smith, look what's starting to happen.
Yeah.
20 years later, now it's too late. There's nothing we can
Yeah.
do. Your
Yeah.
piano needs that. Instead of 10, it's like detecting something early in health wise. It's the same thing with the piano. If you tune it at least every year, then a technician says, oh, Mrs. Smith, we're having this issue. Oh, let's fix it now. Now, 20 years later, it's too late, and your family heirloom, that is a lot to most people. It does. A piano becomes part of the family.
That was mom's piano. I need to keep that. I mean, you hear that all the time.
Yep. Josiah, so how long were you tuning and working as a technician before the bug for making videos started, and how kind of did that start up for you?
Yeah. As long as I have basically been alive, I feel like I've always wanted to run my own business. So like, at first, before I could like legitimately go out and start a business, I just started filming myself playing piano, is how I originally like started the I want to play piano bug. And I made these videos actually, where I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen them. I was obsessed with them at the time. But the notes are like falling down, and they're like lights.
Sure,
and then
yeah,
you
yeah,
play as the notes hit at the same time. There's a bunch of like software and everything that goes into that behind that. So I like started progressively like making those videos a little bit better each time. And I wasn't seeing like any growth at all, but I loved the potential of YouTube. And when I finally, I'd been making those videos for like a couple of years probably. Oh no, man, I'd been making them for like 4 years. And then eventually I started learning how to tune. I'd started tuning for a couple years. And then I found this one piano at a school. It's still the first video on my channel. If you go to like the shorts thing and like scroll down there, or like TikTok or Instagram or anything like that. It's the first video on there, and the piano was just in like terrible shape. And it was for a school. It was like it was a really low income area. Like, they basically had no funding whatsoever. And they said, hey, can you like fix it for us? And we'll do like a buy one, get one free deal or something. Somehow it ended up being like 70% off. I was like, you know what? I'm still kind of learning. This piano needs a lot of help. Let me just do it. And I just decided, let's just film it. Let's just give it a shot. And I watched a guy do basically the exact same thing that I was planning on doing, but he did it with washing machines. His name is Derek with 2 R's. If you look that up on YouTube, or anybody that's watching, that's what originally like inspired me. Is like, he does it with washing machines. Like, he gets people sending him stuff all the time because that's what he does on social media. And so I was like, I'll try it with a piano. And the first video I made, my piano was way out of tune, and there are a couple keys that aren't quite working right. It's cracked right here. That's definitely not supposed to be there. Glue it, clamp it, and put it back in. But that is way looser than it should be. Grab some glue, clamp it for a couple of minutes, reinsert. There was a loose tuning pin, so I pounded it and brought it up to pitch. I repeated 236 times. Got like 10 million views in 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, so there's something here. So I like kind of shifted my whole YouTube channel from playing piano. I took like all those videos and like archived them, moved them to another channel. And I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on this. Like, let's do this. This is something big here. So, and I'm still yet to kind of like crack the code on actually how to make money off of it necessarily. So most of the time it's just like the tuning stuff. And
have you reached out
like
to
that,
Derek with
but
2 hours to find?
yeah. So I haven't reached out. I did talk with him, but not like about that kind of stuff.
Did he sort of start that genre? Is he kind of one of the beginnings? Because I see a guy, the first videos I saw of that was landscapers going out in the yards overgrown.
Yeah,
very
very
take
similar.
care of all that. So and they're fascinating videos.
Yes.
Like who wants to watch people cut grass? But
Right.
they're fascinating.
Yeah,
because it's all
they're so
done
good.
and super sped up time. And I get stuck on those videos. I'll watch. Oh man, look! That yard's a mess, man.
They did it in 1 minute.
Yeah, that's so I love that type of content as
yeah,
well.
that's
So like
great.
that was what I watched like all day, every day, pretty much. Because I don't like TikTok for like dancing and all that stuff. Nobody gives a crap about that. I watch something else. But I love like little repairs. There's this guy called like something leather. He does stuff with leather, and he builds like this would be actually really good content for piano stuff. I've thought about this, and he takes a really really nice like high end leather bag like Louis Vuitton or something like that, and he literally just tears it apart. And the title, like the format of the video is it worth it? That's like his thing, and that series like blew up his thing. He has like 2 million followers on TikTok, plus at least 2 million, or maybe that's across channels. I don't know, but he like started doing that, and he was getting like 3,000 or 4,000 views a video maybe, and then once he shifted to what people actually want to watch, like something that's entertaining for the majority of an audience and not just people who are interested in leather craftsmanship.
Sure.
Because I would have never watched a video about leather craftsmanship. I know nothing about it. And so I kind of took that same thing about washing machines, same thing about leather craftsmanship, and put it into pianos too. So like there's this really good book out there. And again, I'm talking a lot. I love this stuff so much. It's
a podcast. You're good.
Yeah. There's this really good book out there called Steal Like an Artist. And the premise of the book is basically anything that you want to do has been done already in one shape or another. So I just took the idea of the washing machine guy and the landscaper guy and the leather guy and just did it with something else. So somebody could take my exact same thing that I'm doing and do it with plumbing or electrical or anything like that. Something that I'd be interested in watching because I have no idea how electrical works, but I'm fascinated by it. I'd like to see something about it. So I've had like so many people reach out to me because of that, saying that, oh, hey, I didn't know you could have your piano tuned. I'm reaching out to a piano tuner now. Can you tune my piano? I'm looking into becoming a piano tuner. Just getting the word out there. You don't have to sell anything. You don't have to, you're not just trying like to promote a company. You're just promoting a thing, and then you happen to be the company behind it. And then if people really want information, they trust you way more if you're not trying to sell them up front.
Right.
I can show you what not to do with electrical.
Yeah, I'd be scared to mess with any of that.
Speaking of TikTok, what's going on with TikTok? I keep hearing these rumors that they're
Yeah,
getting
3
banned.
days or
My
something like that,
daughters
right?
are TikTokers. I'm not on it. I think I'm over the age limit, but
they like make videos, or they just
no,
like,
they're just fans.
Yeah.
But they keep saying, no, it's for real now. It's getting banned. I was like, whatever. They've been saying that
They
for
said that
3
for
4
4
years.
years, yeah.
Like, I don't know. What's as somebody who's invested in it, I'm
Yeah.
sure you paid more attention to
I
it
honestly
than some.
don't really. TikTok is Okay, so the thing about TikTok is the algorithm is so good, but it's like scary good that I'm like, they must be doing something that like they have to track your internet
Well, yeah, the
search
word is
history and
they're
like
stealing
everything
data.
like that.
Yeah.
Which like probably every social media
I'm
platform
sure,
does that.
right? Yeah.
Anyway, that's another subject. But so I don't really even like have it downloaded on my phone, and I go on there every once in a while and I'll post like 3 or 4 videos at a time and then I'll just delete it
So you-
because it's so addicting. Like I know if I don't do that, then I'll spend way too much time
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I can't have YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok all on my phone. So I just like delete them, download it to only post, and then get off of there because I will spend way too much time.
So in the future, what are your goals? In the piano world.
Yeah. So 5-year goal is to have a like piano tuning franchise, I guess maybe would be the closest thing that I can think of to call it. I would not be teaching everybody how to tune pianos. I cannot do that. Maybe one day I'll help out with it, but that's 5-year goal. 1-year goal right now is to hopefully start making more long form content because then you can do more advertisements, sponsorships, that kind of stuff, as well as launch my own piano cleaning type of product. So like a brass polish that will clean pedals, shine them up for that, something that any piano owner can use, almost like kind of like Corey Care products. Everybody knows them like in the piano world basically, but yeah, so something to like shine up like a black polish finish, like not repolishing it, but just spray and shine essentially. And then a brass polish and then key cleaner and sanitizer, because I find what a lot of like piano teachers think is I just had this 4-year-old who kept wiping his nose every time and he keep playing the keys and I want some way to clean that. And I tell him, well, you can just use water on a damp rag and just, wipe it off, but don't use any chemicals or anything like that on it, just to be safe. So I want something that is safe, simple, easy to use, all of that. So that's like, if I can launch that and then start doing more long form stuff and like maybe traveling around and tuning pianos in different spots, that is like my goal over the next couple of years for sure.
I think
Be
that
fun.
sanitizer would play well for piano teachers. You get that out to a lot of
Yeah.
teacher conventions would be a good place to do that.
Yeah, that's my hope, but we'll see. I'm working with like a company that specifically develops products for YouTubers because I don't know where to start on that.
Sure.
So, but I want it to be good.
The real question is, how do we keep keys from falling inside of a piano? I've had cell phones fall behind the fall board in a piano.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's just like we found a cat in the.
Oh, the kid.
Is this a live cat?
No,
it's a dead cat.
I got a story about a live cat.
No, we found a little toy, a little kitty cat thing.
A customer just bought this brand new piano.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like less than a year old, and I had just tuned like 5 pianos. Like it was an emergency. I had to go out there. The cat got sick in the piano. Okay, so it's like 5:00 at night, and I get out there, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, the cat got sick in 3 different spots inside the piano, and the bass strings, tenor, treble, everywhere. And I'm like, I haven't eaten. It stinks. And I'm looking at the door. And I look at the piano. I looked at the door. I looked at the piano, and I just went to town. I removed the strings. I pulled them back.
Wow.
I went to town.
What else do you do?
Yeah, exactly. Or say, no, sorry, see you.
Go to lunch.
Yeah. Go to dinner at that time.
Yeah.
And no, but I stuck it out, and I think I was done within 2 hours, and it was bad.
Yeah.
And I did it, and
That's impressive.
and I was,
That took me so
but
long.
but you do those kind of things because I was kind of new into the business, and sometimes you really just you're there to we're not just in the business to make money. We're in the business to please people. Whether it's a customer we're moving for, tuning for, rebuilding for, a concert artist. I mean, we're here to make you happy. You're the one doing the concert, not me. So that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
But that's just part of good business.
That's part of the 110%.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're
That's
not 110% in.
So speaking of that, how much of the business and business growth and having return clients is talking to the customer like after each tuning? And then do you set aside, like you and your technicians, set aside to talk with the customer specifically after each?
So you go to the customer's home, you got to spend time with the customer. If you, not long, 5 minutes, whatever. Sometimes for me personally, when I felt like I was too ready to get at the piano and do what I got to do, I actually made up more time on the back end when I was done explaining things to the customer. But we all know that when we go through the door, they get a card, pamphlet, dealing with the customer, hi, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then if you start working on the piano, you start finding something, calling the customer over to show them right then and there, not after the fact. Oh, Mrs. Smith, well, I did this. There's no proof, you know.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to explain it to them before and let them make the decision. They own the piano. We don't. It's your piano. What do you want us to do? It's the same thing with everything here. What do you want from us? Do you want a new piano? Do you want a digital piano? Do you want an old piano? What do you want? Me personally, if I find something wrong, if it's a quick, simple fix that takes me 2 minutes, I don't charge for it. If it was one note, it's one thing. If it's an octave or it's, you know, the whole keyboard is a different story. I want to show them right from the start and explain it to them. Say, when you're ready, let us know, and you know, I can come take care of this, or we can take care of this, or whatever. But sometimes you recommend something to a customer, they don't do it for years and years down the road. You know, hey, it's your piano, not ours. We can only tell you what we recommend, and it's always going to be truthful because that's how we built our business. We don't have over 34 5-star reviews because we cheat people. We don't do that.
Yeah.
That's why we are busy, because my father always said, just do good work and you'll always be busy, and reputation is everything. I mean, it really is. So, did I answer your question? I kind of went off on a rabbit trail there, but
no, that's
down
what
a
I was
rabbit
looking
hole.
for. So normally I talk to customers like after I'm done tuning, but it's interesting that you do it before. I mean, it's not like that much of a difference, but I feel like actually yours might be smarter. I think that might be a better idea.
It's kind of a both. We do, for
Right,
me, it's
before
like
and
the
after.
first
Before
couple,
and after,
the first
exactly.
couple minutes is one thing, in the beginning, but then on the back end, it's like maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending. Sometimes, I mean, listen, I have customers that were my father's customers. So we've been working for them for 40, 45 years. I spend the extra time with them, because I've grown up. I know their kids have grown up. Their kids have kids. So it's more of a family type of a thing there. New customers at the same time, we spend time with them too because they are new, because we want to make sure they know we want to keep them as a customer and be one of those 40-year-old customers down the road. So, but there are times that I've been to a customer's home and I'm like, I do my job and I'm so sorry, but I'm extremely busy. I have a concert tuning or whatever I got to get to, and I feel bad about doing that, but unfortunately that's just the way it is sometimes, but we're fortunate enough because we have so many technicians to help out here. Before, when it was just me, I mean,
Slammed.
I'm 7 days a week. I mean, and working in the shop at the same time. Now, granted, the shop wasn't as busy as it is now, but it was still, I was doing shop work, and then I freaking like Superman. Go change into my nice clothes, go to the concert hall, leave the concert hall, come here, change into shorts and a shirt, and then reverse it and stay till 10 o'clock at night at the concert hall because I had to do a standby. But dealing with the customer, the PR is really, really important to have, because if you don't have that public relations with them, they're not going to want to refer you. You want them to want you back. I think you're doing that. I don't think you have any problems with that part. Because I think you're doing a great job with what you're doing.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I think it's there's How to Win Friends and Influence People is like one of my favorite books. I started reading that when I was like 10 years old. I'm a weird kid, dude. I'm a nerd. I started reading that, and one of the first like parts of the book, I said first chapter or something, is people that make the most money in any industry or the most successful by any like worldly metrics, however you want to measure it, are generally better communicators than they are actually at doing their job. So if you can become a really good communicator and do your job really well, you'll do well. It doesn't matter what you do. So that's what I've always tried to do, is like be really polite, be really respectful. Like I'm a young kid. I don't want to, even though like I know pianos, I don't even want to walk in there and be like, oh, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. Like I want to at least like I'll tell them that it doesn't need to be done, but just respectfully, I guess. So yeah, that's what I've always.
But
Like,
they got to
tried
listen
do.
to you. You're the piano doctor. I mean, you know.
So actually,
Go get a second opinion. There's no other piano doctor out there.
about the name, I stole that from this guy called the Sleep Doctor, and I've kind of gotten the same kickback that he's gotten. So when he started, I don't know what the technical term is, but
Sleeping.
yeah. Yeah. A lot of doctors did not like that. He called it sleep doctor. Like, oh, that's not the right medical term. You're not saying the right words here. And a lot of times I get the same critique, or they think like he's like setting himself out there as being superior because he is the sleep doctor. Like he's the guy. And like, I'm the same way where he responds like, this is just a name. Like, I'm not.
I just chose it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be like the piano doctor.
You don't have a degree hanging on your wall, right?
right. Yeah, exactly. So I just chose the name. I thought it sounded cool. It was a cool business name. So I'm not trying to be out there like, oh, I'm the doctor.
Look at my PhD over here.
Right. I just fix pianos. That's my thing. So.
Do you have a favorite piano or a favorite story of a piano?
Honestly, it's probably the first like video I ever recorded that I was telling you about earlier, where I just thought, let's just make a video about it. The school is in really deep need of some help. I'm hoping my favorite stories will come up next year, actually, because I'm really excited about next year. I'm hoping to travel around, tune some pianos for like nonprofit organizations or public pianos or something like that where they're really not being maintained. So I'm hoping my favorite stories will be coming up. I have some good stories. Like my favorite one recently definitely is I tuned a piano in an airport, in a Chicago O'Hare airport. That the video is like doing really well too, which I'm like pumped about, which makes it even better. But that one was really fun. So I found that piano 3 years ago when we were going on a senior trip in high school. And at the time I was just learning how to tune and repair pianos. And, I would have been at least a year into it, year and a half at least. But I wasn't like open to the public, wasn't out in the field tuning pianos. But I saw that piano and it was in terrible shape. And I mean like the worst shape I've ever seen. Like the top entire octave, if you played one note, all the keys went down at the same time. And it wasn't just like, a pencil was stuck in there. A lot of technicians were like, oh yeah, just pull the pencil out. All of them are going to work. It was next to a bar and people had spilled alcoholic drinks all in between the keys, and all of the keys were sticking together whenever you'd play the piano. It was horrible, like horrid. I didn't realize that at the time, but I said, you know what? If I'm ever back in this airport, I'm going to fix this piano. And then 3 years later, I was flying through that airport again. So I scheduled an 8-hour layover to fix the piano. And I brought all my tools like in my, I just shipped the tools there earlier, actually. That was a whole nother thing. But yeah, in the end, it ended up like it's playing now. I still get messages from people all the time that are like, hey, people sent me an email the other day like, hey, just want to let you know I passed that piano in the Chicago airport. Somebody was playing it. Just wanted to let you know. I'm like, that is so cool.
That is cool.
So neat. Like I didn't ask for them to send me an email. Right. Somehow they found my email. They looked up my website, found my email, and then sent that to me. Like that's so encouraging. Cool. Yeah. So if I could do more content like that, that would be really fun. Yeah, that'd be my goal.
Well, and there's a lot of nonprofits out there that have, unfortunately neglected pianos. So they need a doctor.
Right, which those make the best videos though. Like pianos that need a lot of work, and you can do like the old like 80-20 principle, like 80% of the results come from 20% of the work. You can do like a 20% regulation voicing, hammer reshaping, tuning, and the piano will sound 80% better, like so much better. You don't have to rebuild the whole thing. It won't sound as good as if you rebuild the whole thing for sure, but it'll get at least there for like a nonprofit organization where they'll be thrilled that it sounds so much better.
Yeah. So. Well, we're going to be doing this Bosendorfer back here that was in a hurricane. And
that's going to be a good one.
We're going to film that one from start to finish, and that'll be a real cool one. So I may call you and be like, hey, you got any tips for
yeah, please do.
For doing the video.
And I may call you.
Or come down and do it with us. I mean,
Absolutely.
So that's okay. So another thing that I want to figure out sometime in the next year, depending on how the product launch goes, depending on if I'm traveling around, is figure out actually if I want to come down here and film a piano, multiple pianos, get an apartment down here, stay for a year, see if it works out. I don't know if you guys would be open to that. I mean, we talked about it in the past, like, yeah, come film some videos. But figuring out something around that where I could be involved in a shop aspect. And this shop does really cool builds, like the custom builds, the Hurricane piano. Like, that's such a good story.
Yeah, that's a story.
And everything's
Not
organized and
happening.
be easy to like come in each day and like film. That'd be really cool.
Just let me know when you want to do it, and we'll do it.
Cool.
I mean, that's the thing too. That's what this shop is also founded on. It's founded on the people that are here. We've mentioned it numerous times before that this was not just Tobias Hamilton. This was a conglomerate of everybody that's been working here to help build it up, to
For
get to where it
years.
is. And we're always open to inviting someone to come and work with us that, that can do what, like, I look at you and you kind of remind me a little bit of me when I was younger. I was such a go-getter and this and that. Now I'm kind of slowing down a little bit, as I'm getting older.
Pretty
But
soon he's going to need a walker.
but I'm like, oh, well, wait a minute, maybe Josiah. All right, now. but that's the thing. I mean, that's just the circle of life, So you start looking at, hey, listen, the business has been good to everyone here. So how do we pay it forward? Well, pay it forward to someone like yourself. Yeah, if you want to work here, no problem. You want to come in for a year or 6 months or whatever, we'll figure it out. But trust me, there's a lot of spinets and console pianos that could use the piano doctor.
That's good to know.
I got one right over there, I think.
That's good.
And Busendorfer Imperials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also got to figure we move between 6 to 9 pianos every day.
Yeah.
Every day we're out there. So, I mean, it's just, they're out there. They're here.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Like where I come from, West Michigan. It's kind of like rural towns mostly is where I'm out tuning in. But like this is big city to me. Like
It
there's
is.
a lot of pianos out here. for
Well,
sure.
and you have to fight with the climate up there. That's your biggest enemy because not just to get to the customer during winter months, but what the winter months are doing to the pianos.
Yeah, it's
They
so
wreak
dry.
havoc on them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they just tear the pianos apart, and it's like we don't have that problem down here. So it's easier with the pianos, unless they were a northern piano and they come down here and it, didn't
Then
do
you get
well
the
with
finish
acclimating.
issues. And
Right. But, that's where it's a little bit easier. That's why, I mean, we were talking about it earlier, how many soundboards we do in a year. I mean, my mentor at one time was doing 40 soundboards a year. Well, that's because he was in New York. The temperature fluctuation was
Just killed him.
right. And that was just him. There was, in the heyday, there was tons of rebuilders doing that. Down here, no, because we don't have that type of fluctuation. So it's actually easier with the pianos that are here because you don't have to worry about that part of it.
Pianos are just in air conditioned all the time.
Yeah,
in everybody's
yeah.
house. So.
pretty much.
Sounds nice.
So, because you said your family has a place down here, right?
My aunt does. Yeah.
Okay.
Or cousin. Yeah.
Okay. One of the two.
Yeah.
And that's here in West Palm area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
that's cool.
not
Cool.
very far away from here. At all,
Okay.
so.
Good deal.
Nice. Yeah. Anytime, man. Anytime you want to
Yeah,
come
we
by.
got an open door, man.
Yep. And you want to do another podcast with us, we're more than open to that.
Sounds good.
Anytime. Any other questions you guys can think of?
No,
or
I think we're good. I think we covered it.
I think it was great.
I think
Yeah,
we kind of
absolutely.
covered the bases.
I think this is great, man. I really appreciate you being on.
Absolutely.
Seriously,
Thank you
that
for
was
coming.
that was great. Everybody, please, you can follow Josiah, the piano doctor. With the 10 million other people that do.
And what's your website?
The website, website's just like for local tunings, but it's like www.thepianodoctor.pro
Okay.
is the name of it.
And the socials.
Social, yeah, that's definitely where you be able to find like more. That's where I'm
All
more
your
active.
content.
Yeah, so it's like YouTube is the Piano Doctor. Instagram is like the _Piano Doctor. It's like different like names like that. But if you just search the Piano Doctor,
comes
you'll
up.
find it on each of those. So
Cool.
Right on.
yeah. But thank you guys so much. Like it's shocking to me. Like I don't know how many people are gonna watch this, but like if anybody
Both.
watches it, yeah,
All two of them.
all two. Like literally, if anybody watches this, like it's shocking that you'd be like, "Oh, the piano doctor. Let's listen to this podcast with this
Yeah.
kid." Like I'm
Yeah,
just a
right.
kid. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for encouraging me, for having me on. It's been good.
Yeah,
right
not-
on.
not a
Thank you.
problem.
I'm a big fan, man. It's good to meet you.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much. You can follow us at Hamilton Piano Co. and on Facebook and YouTube. And everybody, have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace.